Hello friends, I'm still not back at writing music as planned. I'm still at developing this tool here first to generate some parts of it. Well, both belongs together. The next song will contain results of this sequencer. And along my way I stumbled across all the improvements that you can find now in this new version of the software. This is the old version here, and here comes the new version. Berliner Schule Sequencer is now in version 0.9.1. In case you have missed the first video, this sequencer is an algorithmic music tool to generate melodic MIDI sequences in the spirit of 1970s German electronic pioneers like Tangerine Dream, Klaus Schulze and Ashura Temple. Instead of playing notes manually, you set a few parameters here, and the sequencer does the rest. That for the idea. Let's add a short explanation here of what you can do. First you generate a block, a short sequence, this one here, and then you can either export it as MIDI, or you can expand it and add an evolution to it. That's the evolution tab. And this evolution here is the really interesting feature. The initial block is used as the base, so this part is here. This tiny little thing. It then receives tiny little variations. You can see the pattern changes over time. From no variation at all to going completely wild, if you let it. We can mutation run completely high and the grip down, and the result is not longer really bound to the initial phrase. Good values are the initial values. Let's keep it a bit down and turn up the grip. And iterations, of course, to the default 12. Here we go. This is also a new feature. You can scroll the sliders with the mouse wheel. And with the evolution here, you can generate long sequences, up to 64 iterations. 64. And yeah, that's quite long already, given that the initial block can have up to 32 steps. We have initially 16 steps. 16, you can go up to 32. And you can go up to 16 repeats. So this is already quite a long part here, and this becomes even longer then. You can set a min length, a max length of the notes. Let's go a bit down here so that you can see it better. And you can set variations. And you have, this is also a new feature, we have now a palette. You can say, okay, only 3 notes, or only 4, or only 5, or only 6. And you can set a range up to 12. The palette ends at 8. This is 1 octave. And the range goes up to 12. The algorithm itself has received quite a few changes and differs in big parts from the old version. With the old version, the evolution did even go wild with mutation completely at 0 and drift at 0 and grip at 100. It went completely wild. We would have ended here in 10 or 20 notes at the end with a pattern that has nothing to do with the initial pattern anymore. This is now fixed. In this new version, all mutation goes through a single unified engine that respects palette walk, palette random or mix styles. That keeps the evolution musically coherent, and this prevents it from drifting into nonsense. This was a big problem in the old engine. And also the normal block generation here is now much more constrained. The former algorithm was able to walk completely away from the initial phrase using raw scale degrees. That way we end up in a much more limited generation compared to the previous version, of course. But the constraints make sure that we actually get something useful and not completely random. Everything is now strictly pulled from your chosen palette. This is why this new feature here is implemented palette. I've also completely overhauled the safety checks. Octave drift now uses directional validation before shifting, so pushing the slider won't collapse your tones or break the sequence anymore. The min and max notes lengths now adapt dynamically, different word, to the remaining space in a phrase. That completely eliminates those silent algorithmic breaks we used to get into tight spots. On the structural side, the anchor logic, this one here. Oops, this is wrong. Here we offbeat anchor. We have a new feature here. We can now determine if the, let me close this. Determine if this root note here is, let me pull this down here. Here we are. If this root note here is at the bottom, or at the top, or in the middle, around anchor, this one here. This is the new feature here. I have already mentioned the piano roll we have in the evolution export. Also, this is also new compared to the old version. There was no preview and the step sequencer didn't really work out well. So I decided to go with a piano roll view here. It's faster, scales cleanly, and is much easier to judge the result here. And yeah, this evolution preview really is a big win here. What is also fixed here, the root modes have been buggy. It walked all the way up. And this is now fixed. This is now really the pattern that you choose here. The mutation style is new. We can use a palette walk. Then it goes up or down by one note. We can completely randomize the results. Or we can have a mix between walk and random. And last but not least, the how-to is now at the ground, not longer in the way in the middle, and it has grown. Quite a few new features. And here you can see a list of all the changes since version 0.9. One note to the palette. It can happen that even with full settings of 8 notes, you get much fewer notes. This is by design. There is no guarantee that you use the full palette. It can even just use 2 tones, 2 notes. So let's have a look if this is useful. Looks good, maybe it sounds good. So let's have a look here. Useful enough, I would say. This is the spirit of Berlin School. Now look at the evolution and listen to the evolution over time. Sorry, I don't want to bother you too much, but you heard it has changed a tiny little bit, and this is the spirit of Berlin School. Over time evolution. So go ahead, download it, the new version, and see how the evolution behaves for you. I'm curious to hear what kind of long-form journeys you'll create with it. As always, thanks for following along, and I'll see you in the next update. Keep generating.